If you've been following along on the progress of this 240Z, well, you've seen that I've got the engine running. I've went through the entire brake system. I've got the interior looking pretty good. Now it's time to start on this exterior. Got several things to do here. You can see this spoiler has kind of cracked along this edge where it was attached here. Water's gone down in there, rusted a little bit. Got some of the paint, kind of cracking up here. Same thing in this area here. So I'm going to do several things to it in addition to just straightening up what needs to be straightened up. For one thing, I'm going to remove these little headlight covers. I don't really care for them. Dirt and dust and stuff gets inside there and you can't really clean them. So I'm going to remove those and I'll fill the holes where it's attached. This grill up here is not bad, but I'm not a huge fan of it. And one problem I got is when the hood opens up, it catches right here. Now there is some kind of a mechanism in here that kind of draws this back in as the hood opens. So I think I'm going to do away with that and just recess this grill back in about an inch or so that the hood will clear fine. Won't have any issues with that. And it just looks kind of big and flat. So I may put a cross piece in here. And then I don't think I'm going to leave it yellow. I'm going to repaint the car yellow, but I'll do something else with that grill. I don't like this expanded metal here. I mean, it's functional. Air can come in through the radiator and exit out through this area, but also when it rains, water comes in here. So I'm thinking I might build a couple of little shields that'll come up over the top of that. On the back here, the spoiler is maybe a little bit more than I would like. So I'm thinking about cutting an inch or so off of it. I've toyed with a couple of other ideas. I don't know for sure what I'm going to do. And the back just looks too flat to me. It looks like a big billboard or something. These are just some kind of trailer lights that have been molded into the body. If you ever cracked one of those lenses, it wouldn't be an easy change, that's for sure. So I've already actually got some other tail lights that I'm going to put in here. And I think I'm going to make some little cans and French them into the body. Same thing with the license plate. I'm going to hang it in here somewhere. Before it mounted down here on this bracket and just kind of stuck up here. But I think I'm going to bring it up here a little bit and French it into the body. I might do something with these little bumper stops right there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. But I want to give it some dimension on the back end here, that's for sure. And then you can see down here, we got cracks right through here. And I'm thinking that when they redid all of this, there's a seam right here, also over here, that didn't get welded solid. And so over time, the flex of everything, and maybe some moisture got in there. But anyway, I'm going to have to get into there and maybe weld that up solid. But all in all, it's a straight body. There's no real dents or damage to it. There's no major rust out. There's a couple little areas like this where you can see it's kind of bubbling and there's a little rust there, but I don't believe it's rusted through anywhere. So it's not going to be too bad of a job. And I'm going to start right back here and try and remove this spoiler first thing. And there we go. A lot of Bondo on there. I don't know why there would be so much Bondo this high, unless this thing here is all, sunken in, but I'll get in there and push that back out because I don't like that at all. about that? I'm moving up front here now. I'm going to do something with this grill. You can't raise the hood, but what it catches right here. Perhaps when it was first built, why there was just minimal clearance, but anyway, it catches every time. Let me open the hood and you can watch this point right here. So what I want to do is push the grill back about 1 inch, and then that'll give plenty of clearance here, and I think it will look just fine. Okay, I got to trim these tabs off a little bit right here so this front will go back in just a little further. A little bit more. Okay, that clears perfectly right there. So I think right there is where I need to mount it. And I think it looks kind of good. It looks a little better actually set back in there a hair. Okay, now I just need to drill a couple holes in those tabs up top here. And then there's a couple of bolts that hold this to a framework. I think I can come off with a couple of tabs on the bottom here and here and utilize those 2 holes that are already in there, and that should be pretty good. Here's what I did to it. Welded this piece across there, put radiuses in all the little corners. I've got some mounting tabs welded on the bottom here and on the corners up here. So that's how it'll mount in there. So now it just needs to be thoroughly cleaned and paint stripped off of it. Throw a paint job on it. I think it'll look pretty good. I think it looks a lot better set back in there about 1 inch. Remember, the surface of this grill right here was flush with the fender right there. Now it's about 1 inch back. And the best thing about it is the hood clears when it opens. So I think that's going to be all right. Now I want to build some little covers over here. This is just expanded metal, and if it rains, water's just going right in there. So what I'm going to try and do is, I've got this 3.5 inch diameter exhaust pipe. It's about a 1/16 inch wall thickness. So I'm going to try and just cut it right down the center like that, and then it'll fit right in here. Come back, maybe I'll taper it back this way just a little bit and make some nice covers on that will still let the air come through and out, but it'll keep the direct rain from getting in there. Here they are just setting in place so I can take a look at them. I think they look all right actually. Now I just need to get them welded up, and I've got to make some little plates to go in these areas. And then once they get painted same color as the rest of the body, why, I think it's gonna look pretty sharp. I'm wondering what I need to do here. It had these little blocks bolted on there where the bumper mounts go. But I'm thinking maybe some little half bumpers might look okay. So I'm gonna build something and see how it looks. I may go back with these. These don't look too bad. I've got this piece of 1.75" diameter tubing here. I'm thinking I can cut it in half, just have a little short section on there. And I've got this end caps that I can weld on there. I've got a piece of angle here. I've got my tube laying in it. Now my end cap, I kind of machined the outside edge a little bit so it's the exact same diameter here. So now I can just lay this in here and everything will be lined up nice and square. I've got these in place. They're nice and parallel to each other and in a level plane. So now I can tack weld them to the brackets. Okay, I believe all the metal work has been done. So now I'm going to block sand the entire car with some 220 grit paper. And what that'll do for me is it will expose any little dimples or low spots that I've got in it that might need a little skim of body filler. So I'm gonna wash this surface. And then just block the whole thing. Okay, here's what I'm talking about. On the hood here, you can see this shiny spot. That indicates a low area, and I might not have caught that had I not block sanded this. See a couple more little areas right here. Now these I can probably just sand out a little more because there's plenty of paint on this car. It's been painted before, a couple of times I think, and those may come out. And this one here probably gonna need a little skim of filler on it. Now I'm going over the whole thing with body filler where I need just a little bit to get it smoothed out just right. I'm just about ready to throw some primer, some filler primer on this thing. This dark green filler was a fiberglass infused body filler. And then the lighter color stuff is just a premium filler that sands a little easier. But it's coming along. I need to do a little bit of final sanding with a little bit finer grit paper, and then I can spray some filler primer on it. Finally, all the sanding and body filler work is all complete. Ready to put some filler primer on it. I let this primer dry for a couple of days, and I just now put a guide coat on it. So once that dries real good, I can start the block sanding process. Well, I think the paint laid down pretty good on it. I'll get it unmasked now, and once it fully cures out, I can buff it out. But I don't find any runs or any fish eyes. It's always my biggest fear, is the fish eyes. So I think this is going to buff out real nice. The taillights I got for it are from Speedway Motors. They're 1950 Pontiacs. And after it's all painted and put back together, I think it looks pretty good. Well, I think I'm all done with it now. Let's check it out. There's the grill. Remember, I worked on that a little bit. There's those covers I made. I decided not to put the spoiler back on there. I think the rear end of it turned out pretty good. You can see a separate video on what I did there. In fact, I made several videos putting this car back together. I got one where I was getting the engine running, and one redoing the interior, redoing the brakes, rebuilding the brake calipers, putting Willwood mechanical parking brake calipers on the rear there. So please check those out if you want to see what all went into bringing this car back to life.